All right, back again on the Sort of Sports podcast, and I have to admit, we're going to talk about it. Bryce Young played really well Sunday. He did. That is probably the best game I've ever seen him play. A lot of people ask me, what did I think? I thought what you thought. Well, I don't know about that because you probably only saw a couple clips on Twitter and maybe one TikTok about how the Panthers need to give him more time. But what did I exactly think while watching? I thought, wow, that was a good play. Oh, that was a good one too. Oh my gosh. And it's kind of like the Thanos, perhaps I treated you too harshly meme. Bryce Young played really well. He seemed very happy about it in the win. I think he's developing those leadership skills. Now, anyone who listens to this podcast, and you are anyone, you are someone, and you are important to me. So, see, look at this. Sort of loving podcast at this point. Am I right, guys? And you matter. So that's why you should make your voice heard. Just by the time this releases, I'm pretty sure all voting is done in America. But it was just too easy of a joke to go for those go out and vote 2024. Not that you shouldn't. I mean, it's your choice. I mean, but I just thought it was funny. I started to sound like one of those, didn't I? Anyways, but Bryce played really well. And anyone who listens to this podcast knows that I have kind of run him down a lot. And I've said that he's bad. And I said that we need to draft Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. And you're like, oh, Ryan, well, put your money. How do you feel now? Well, I'd like to quote my father, who I believe is quoting someone else, but I'm sure my father say it, which is a dumb man never changes his mind, and a smart man will. And that's very true. Because a dumb person won't accept that they're wrong, and they'll make up excuses. Not that I'm the smartest man, but I would like to say that there's a very good chance I was wrong about Bryce Young. And that benching him did somehow magically fix him. And it made him hungry again. It made him want to be that guy in Carolina that I desperately wanted him to be. And that it's been fixed. Now, does one game prove that? No. Now, how do I feel at this moment? In my opinion, I think he needs to win at least 2 more games for me to believe. Maybe 3, you could argue. So you look at the Panthers' schedule, right? This week, we play the New York Giants in Germany. I know overseas games are super weird, but I honestly think we can very much win this game. The next week, we play the Chiefs. I'm not expecting us to beat the Chiefs. It would be awesome. It would be crazy upset, but we're not going to, right? We play the Bucs. That should be a tough game. If we win that, that's really a great sign, right? So we're saying, let's say Bryce needs to win at least 2 more games. Upcoming games, here we go. Giants, Chiefs, Bucs, Eagles, Cowboys, Cardinals, Bucs again, Falcons. Not the easiest, not the hardest, right? You have some really, so you have some teams with winning records, right? The Chiefs and the Eagles and the Cardinals all have winning records. And the Falcons, right? And then the teams that are around 500 and the Bucs and Cowboys. I almost said Panthers. We were definitely not around 500. So I wouldn't say a very hard schedule. I wouldn't say very easy either. If you pick up 2 wins throughout these next 8 games, I think it makes a massive statement. I really do. And I think we go into this draft going best player available. And that's a good feeling. I don't even feel like we need to get a wide receiver. I'm really happy with Jalen Coker. I am officially a cokehead. He is awesome. Really happy with Ja'Tavion Sanders. He's really good too. Really happy we traded Jonathan Mingo for a 5th-round pick to Dallas because Jonathan Mingo is not as good as it might have been a 4th-round pick. Was it 5th or 4th? I don't know why. I really thought... he was a 4th round. Oh, man. And Mingo's bad. Mingo's kind of bad. I wanted him to be good so badly, but he's not. And Coker is legit good. It feels like with Canales, we are doing what good teams do, which is discovering talent that other teams didn't see. We have that in Sanders. We have that in Coker. And that's a good feeling. It's fun to be like, oh, yeah, we discovered him. And he's working within our offense, and he's going to be somebody for us. That's really fun. And that's what good teams do. And I'm really happy. To me, if we get to the end of this year and Canales goes to bed at night and he thinks, I'm going to be the coach of the Carolina Panthers and we will win the Super Bowl with Bryce Young as our quarterback, then let's keep Bryce Young. But if Dave Canales gets to the end of the year and he's laying in bed at night and he turns over to his wife and he says, I don't think I can win a Super Bowl with Bryce Young, we need to draft somebody new. That's where I'm at. Because if you're not trying to win the Super Bowl, what's the point? That's the whole thing, right? That's what we all care about. So that's it to me. If by the end of this year he believes Bryce Young can be the best player in a championship team, that's basketball, sorry. If he believes Bryce Young can be the quarterback on a championship team, let's keep him. Do I believe that at the moment? No. I still wear my Bryce Young shirts key with pride. There was a while there I was wearing it in shame. Back to pride. Ryan, you've said some terrible things. You're right, I have. But I demanded excellence. And I don't take back what I said because he wasn't bringing excellence. I wanted to see him be great. I had a lot of faith in him. And he disappointed me. He did. It's kind of like he was, it's kind of like, you dated this girl. You're super excited things started out. And it was just terrible. You guys were both toxic to each other. It started off, she was just cheating on you. And then, you got revenge too. And it was just bad. It was terrible. It was awful. And you get yourself cleaned up and you got it together and now you're fine. And now she's got herself cleaned up and she's got herself together and she's fine. Does that mean you were wrong to be upset about her cheating? No, you weren't wrong. In the moment, you were right. What she was doing was wrong. Just because she's good now, not my best metaphor, not my best work, I must admit. Luckily enough, I've never had a girl cheat on me, nor have I ever cheated on a woman. So maybe I shouldn't have went. I've had friends who've had that similar situations like that. So I guess I should say I've seen it before where a guy's, had a girl cheat on him and then she gets herself taken together and she comes back. He's like, well, am I wrong to be mad about the cheat? No, you're not wrong. Can you hold it against her? Yeah, you kind of can. But if she continually shows you that she's not that person anymore, then you let it go. I mean, there's my dating advice. I'm a big fan of Love in America. And if you want my dating advice, if someone in the past has hurt you or wronged you, forgiveness has to be worked for. It's not just handed out. And Bryce Young can truly get my forgiveness and get that faith again and go back to being, that beautiful blue-eyed girl that I fell in love with years ago. I would love for him to be that. I would love for him to be an elite quarterback that leads my Carolina Panthers to the Super Bowl. But I don't know if he is that. And he's going to have to decide that. Well, that got intimate. That got really intimate. But I think we're going to keep it. I don't think I'm going to re-record this. I think it worked. I think it's fun. I think it's worked out all right. But that is very intimate. But that's how I feel about it. I guess I should say the Dodgers won the World Series in 5 games instead of 6. So I was one off. Congrats, Dodgers. Hooray. All right, back to NFL. So the Chiefs, right? Playing Monday Night Football. Baker Mayfield. I'm like, okay, here it comes. Baker's going to get a chance to win the game. He's going to blow it. He does. Chiefs get the ball back. Wait a minute. The Chiefs blew it. The Bucs are getting the ball back. Oh, my gosh. The Bucs have a chance. Baker just marched them downfield. We're going to overtime. And I was on the phone with RJ because I called him. I was like, you're going to miss Baker getting this game to OT. Like, you got to turn this on. And I'm talking to him, and I go, never mind. Don't turn it on. He goes, what? And I'm like, he pushed it to overtime, but it just hit me. The Chiefs are going to win the coin toss. Like the weird Chiefs voodoo magic is, and then of course it did. Of course it fell to the Chiefs. And they marched around and down, and they got a touchdown, and that was that. Game over. And they're still undefeated, and no one remember the fact that the Bucs almost beat them. Nobody remember the fact that Baker almost defeated them. It's honestly like maybe you should have. Now, granted, Todd Bowles, who could have known in the moment? Hindsight's 20/20. But I guess at this point, it's like maybe you should have just went for 2 at the end of the game. It is like, all or nothing, right? Let's get it. Let's try it. I mean, would you rather bet on a coin toss that felt like a 99-1 shot for some reason? Like, because it did. It felt guaranteed. to go to the Chiefs for some reason because you just knew it would, and it did. And so they're still undefeated. And, they're probably going to – you look at their schedule, they don't really have the hardest schedule going forward. I mean, if you want me to read it to you, I'll do that real quick. We read the Panthers schedule. Chiefs are significantly more relevant. Might as well read theirs. So the Chiefs play the Broncos this week. They're going to win that. They play the Bills next week. That's the loss. I think that's the one that ends the undefeated streak. Then they play the Panthers. They should win that. Raiders, they should win that. Chargers, they could lose there. Browns, they should win. Texans, they could lose there. Steelers, they could lose there. Broncos, they should win. They could end with 4 losses. But even then, you could tell me they go undefeated. And I'd be like, yeah, I guess. Chiefs go 17-0. What the hell? Honestly, if I'm a Chiefs fan, the biggest game I'm afraid of more than anything is this Christmas Day game against the Steelers. Because Christmas this year is on a Wednesday. So it's weird because they're going to play on the 21st, which is a Saturday, against the Texans. They are then going to have 1, 2, 3 days off and then play Wednesday. That's going to kill them. That's where they get the losses. And that Texans game, they could definitely win. And then they play the Steelers 3 days later. And the Steelers don't play a Saturday game before that. The Steelers have extended rest. So to me, that's the big one. To me, that's the one where it's like, that would be the one I'm most afraid of. Because, well, I guess the Steelers actually do play that Saturday also. I take that back. So Steelers in the same boat. 21st, they play. I was like, I should check that, make sure I'm right. The Steelers play the 21st, and then they turn around and play on Christmas. So they're in the same boat. But, it'll just be a tough game for both teams, I guess. But that would be the one I'm most afraid of on the Chiefs because that's going to be weird. What is up with Mahomes, though? This is the worst season of his career. And they're winning because their defense is elite. And Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the NFL because we've seen it, right? But if you just started watching the NFL this year, you wouldn't think he's one of the best in the NFL. You'd think it was Josh Allen, Lamar, probably like Jaden Daniels. Probably be like your top 3, genuinely. I make fun of how much they push Jaden Daniels, but he continually does make great. I mean, he is good. He's really good. It's just kind of weird. I don't think we're talking about enough. Because they're undefeated, we're not talking about how he's like significantly having his worst season. That wasn't a well-structured sentence, but he is easily having his worst season. And it's just weird. And yet, I could see them going 17-0. Because, like, why not at this point, I don't know. It's very weird. I feel like a lot more people are going to be like, oh, yeah, Mahomes having his worst season if they lose the Bills in 2 weeks. Like, once they get that first loss, people will feel more inclined to be like, hey, this is weird. But because they're undefeated, you're just like, well, who's going to argue with the results? And it's like, yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know. Once this playoffs come, he'll just go back to being the best, So, all right, was I a little too early on the Texans? Because I was thinking about this. So, like, Jordan Love is really good. But he's not as good as I thought he was going to be this year. Like, he's not going to win MVP. He makes some great plays, but he also makes some just terrible plays. And I think he is the Packers franchise guy. I think he is eventually probably going to be an MVP guy. But I think I genuinely might have been a year early on him. I think this Packers team's really good. They could be in the NFC Championship. Hell, they could probably still make the Super Bowl. But Jordan Love being a top 10 quarterback, I think he might be fringe right now, but I wouldn't even put him in there. I think he just does too much dumb stuff at the moment. My Super Bowl prediction at the beginning of the year was Texans over Packers. I acknowledge that I might be a year early on both teams, but I always feel like in professional sports that it's usually a year early than it is a year late, except for baseball. For baseball, it's almost always like later than you expect. But for basketball and football, it's usually earlier than you expect. I might have been early on the Texans because that offensive line is bad. And CJ Stroud is having a very normal thing called a sophomore slump, where because you were so damn good as a rookie, everybody in the offseason prepped for you for this year, so now you have to react to how they reacted to you. So I always say, that second season is always very interesting because how are you going to respond to their response? Now they're game planning for you. It'll be really interesting next year to see how Jaden Daniels plays. Like, can Jaden Daniels still be this good next year? I'm willing to bet no because teams are now going to circle the Jaden Daniels game and they're going to want to take him down. And so that's what's happening with CJ. I mean, CJ's still really good. They're still a Super Bowl contender. But he isn't putting up the jaw-dropping numbers that we saw from him last year because he's having a very normal sophomore slump. So, I don't know. I also think it hurts him having no Nico Collins. The Texans are a team, if you said right now, who do you feel better about? Like, who do you think? If you had to say, Ryan, which team's getting farther in the playoffs, regardless of conference? Like, which team is better, Texans or Packers? I think I'd go Texans. Yeah, I almost hesitated. The offensive line is bad. Like, it's going to hurt them, and it's going to be the reason they don't go to the Super Bowl like I thought at the beginning of the year. Like, I don't feel confident taking them to be in the Super Bowl. But there's also a part of me that's like, I could see it late December that they just start rolling, and it's like, wow, the Texans have so much talent. And it doesn't even matter that Diggs is out. Like, they're so talented with Dell and Collins and, CJ feeding them. And, Mixon's been solid for them when he's there. And they have Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. Like, it makes so much sense in my head. But offensive line is hurting them. And they could have a Joe Burrow 2021 Bengals style run through the playoffs, but they're going to meet that team that just eats that offensive line. And it's probably going to be the Chiefs. So realistically, if they get lined up on the opposite side of the AFC from the Chiefs, they're going to lose the AFC Championship to the Chiefs because Chris Jones will murder their offensive line. Like, he will take every single one of them out back and put them down like Old Yeller. So that's my only concern with the Texans. Now, granted, things could change. My opinion could change. I could come on podcast in 2 months and tell you how I'm taking them to win the Super Bowl still. I'm staying strong. I still think CJ Stroud is probably the guy that's going to take down Mahomes. I think he's going to be the one to be against Mahomes. And they're going to play, and it's going to be great on that Saturday and December 21st. But for the time being, I don't know. I'm starting to think I was a year early on this year. I'm not definitively saying I'm withdrawing because there's no point in withdrawing at this point. The podcasts are already out. I've already made the predictions. The next time I'll do like a definitive Super Bowl pick will be the playoff picks that we do in early January. But I'm just saying I'm starting to think might be some flaws in that Texans system. The Commanders went out and got Marshawn Lattimore. I thought that was a really strong move for them at the deadline. They needed help defensively. Commanders, they could go decently far in the NFC. I'm being serious, like, there's a world they make it to the NFC Championship. Like, if they just get on the right side of the bracket, it's like they could beat the Packers. Like, if they get on the side of the bracket that's like, what? The Rams as the NFC West winner or Cardinals, right? And then, like, the Eagles. So they have to play, like, let's say they have to play the Eagles first round. That's like the wild card team they go up against. And then they play, like, the Rams or Cardinals. And, like, if the Packers and Lions end up in the same side of the bracket and they don't have to see one of them till the NFC Championship, there's a world where the Commanders make the NFC Championship. Because to me, I don't think any other team other than the Lions and Packers will beat them. Maybe the Rams could. Maybe just because it's McVay and because it's Matthew Stafford. Also, I say this all the time. Matthew Stafford is the best quarterback in the NFC, and he is the sixth best quarterback in the NFL. And we saw that the last 2 weeks. The Thursday night win, and then last week goes to overtime, wins the game against Seahawks. Like, he's very good. Very good. Just come on. Come on, guys. I do think if you watch the NFL right now, the team that looks the best is the Lions. And I honestly think they are the best team in the NFL. And part of the reason I didn't take them to win the Super Bowl beginning of this year is because I don't want to fuck with their mojo at all. Like, I don't want to mess with them at all. My mom loves the Lions. Genevieve and I both have a soft spot for the Lions. Everyone I know really likes the Lions, but my mom's like a legit fan. Like, she owns jerseys fan and has lots of gear fan. Like, that's her team. That is my mom's team, is the Lions. And I just don't want to mess with that mojo at all. Like, even when it comes to playoff picks, I might just have to not pick them because I just don't want to. And they're like America's team at this point. Like, I think everybody loves them. Zadarius Smith, they just went and acquired from the Browns. That's awesome for them. Absolutely awesome. What level of pick was it? Oh my, I should look. So Zadarius Smith and a 7th round pick. Browns get a 5th and 6th round pick. A great move for the Lions. Zadarius Smith is very good, and not like an elite player. He's no Aiden Hutchinson replacement, but Aiden Hutchinson's top 5 defensive end in the league. Probably going to be defensive player of the year this year. I'm really proud of picking him at defensive player of the year share at the beginning of the year. Really proud of that pick, and it almost came to roost. So obviously it's not a perfect replacement for Hutch, but for the asking price, a 6th and a 5th for a 7th and Zadarius Smith, I mean, come on. It's a great deal by them. Smart deal. I wonder if they originally called about Garrett and they had to settle for Zadarius because the asking price was crazy. You know? I mean, that would be very interesting. But I'm very happy the Lions went and did that. And the interesting thing with the Lions is if they end the season at like 15-2, could Goff get MVP? Like, he just keeps having these games where he's like 15 for 18 or 20 for 23, where he just has like barely any incompletions. He's super efficient. He's not throwing that many interceptions. I think there's a world where Jared Goff can win MVP. I think a lot of it depends on where the Bills and Ravens end up. Because to me, I think a lot of people, and the way that everything seems to be going, is towards Lamar and Josh as the two front runners. And then it's like, okay, well, depending on how many wins the Lions or Chiefs get, it could be Mahomes or Goff. I think those are like your main 4 candidates. And to me, I would say Josh Allen would be the one because it does feel like his year. He's lurked around MVP for a long time. And he's never even been, I think, top 3 in voting, even though he's been really good. I mean, every year since 2020, he's been really good. And on paper, this is one of his worst teams. Yet when you watch them, I feel like this is the best team he's ever had. I honestly think that this is my favorite Bills teams he's had. Like, this is the team I think, if there's a Bills team the last couple of years that I think can win the Super Bowl, it's this one. I didn't believe in them in 2020. I didn't believe in them in 2021. I didn't believe in them in 2022. I didn't believe in them in 2023. I've never been a big believer in the Bills. And this year I am. Like, I really think this is a good team. I really think James Cook is a big part of that. I think he's really good. I mean, Ray Davis is coming along for them. Ray Davis has been really good. And so they've just, I mean, like, he made a big play last week. They just have like depth now. And getting Amari Cooper, I think, is huge. And I think Shakir is a really good 2. He's not good enough to be a 1. But if you can make Amari Cooper the 1, or Keon Coleman, Keon Coleman, just the go-get-it guy. Like, he's the go, like, I'm going to bomb this shit for you, Keon. And then Shakir's the inside guy, and Amari's getting the most targets. That's a really good team. It's a really good team. Because Amari Cooper can be the 1 on a team with depth. It's hard for Amari when he has to be the 1 in, like, a, I don't even know, like, what to describe. Like, in an offense where it's like, we're just going to be throwing the ball to you. I don't know how to describe it other than that. Like, I guess like kind of like the Dolphins. I mean, they give the ball to Jalen Waddle sometimes, but for the most part, it's like, we're just looking for you, Tyreek. Amari can't do that. But if it's more of a spread attack, like, I like the Bills receivers more than the Chiefs, even with DeAndre Hopkins. I think they have better receivers. I do. And defensively, obviously, the Chiefs, I mean, they might flat out just, I mean, best defenses in the league, probably Steelers, Chiefs. Who else? Putting the Texans there? I don't think they're that good. I think they're good. I don't think they're top defense in the NFL. I mean, Steelers and Chiefs got to be top 2. I don't know who I realistically would want to put third. Lions, maybe? Lions have pretty good defense. I don't know if they're top 3. Let's just look up, like, who's graded, like, the best defenses in the NFL. We'll just see what they're saying. Fox Sports, here we go. Defensive yards averaged. So who has the least amount of yards against them is the Titans, and then the Texans, then the Eagles, and the Jets, and the Chiefs, and the Broncos, and the Dolphins, the Chargers, the Steelers, and the Niners. So what did I say? Chiefs. So Chiefs have the 5th least amount of yards against them, and Steelers have 9th. Well, I don't think that's the only stat that matters. To me, when you watch it, it feels like Steelers, Chiefs are the 2 best defenses. And then probably after them, I'm thinking what? Yeah, I guess I was right. Say like Texans are up there. Broncos, I would say, honestly, and Chargers. That's it. They have a whole section here on Fox Sports that's just Brady stuff. Like, it's just whatever Brady wants to talk about. Top teams, LFG player of the game. Does the LFG player of the game stand for what Does it stand for let's fucking go? Because that's what LFG usually... Is that what they're doing? 3 stars of the week of Tom Brady. Oh, no wonder he's getting paid so much money. He's actually doing a lot. Huh. Did not know all this. I did not know they had this whole section. What is Breakfast Ball? It's a Fox Sports show. Do people watch? Well, people watch these, but like, who's a big Breakfast Ball guy? Starring Danny Perkins, Craig Carton, and Mark Schlereth. I'm not making fun of these guys. I mean, they have a show on Fox Sports. I have a podcast with a little over 60 subscribers. I mean, clearly they're doing better than me. 66 subscribers to be exact. Oh, Emmanuel Ocho's on this show. Okay. LaShawn McCoy. Oh, this is The Faculty. That's fun. That sounds like a fun show. I just don't know about some of these shows. Like, I know Colin Cowherd because he's Colin Cowherd. For better or for worse. First things first. Who's on this show? Nick Wright. Oh. They have Nick Wright. Yeah. Nick Wright and Colin Cowherd is outrageous. Oh, Keyshawn Johnson's on this show? Paul Pierce, Keyshawn Johnson, Emmanuel Ocho, and LaShawn McCoy with Joy Taylor. That is the show Speak. It's just an outrageous lineup. Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce. Goodness. Okay. Well, shows I would watch here. I guess I would watch, like, maybe Breakfast Ball and The Faculty. What's First Things First? I think I already talked about that one. That's one with Nick Wright. Yeah, we're not watching that. The Cowherd show, Cowherd has really good segments. Like, that's Cowherd's strong suit. And I don't know if he thinks that or if he has a writing team, but that is what Cowherd is best at, is he does a really good job of doing, like, interesting segments. That is, like I remember right before the 2020 NBA season, he did a section of, like, duos rankings. Because at that time, the NBA was, like, really duos based. It was like when we first got Paul George and Kawhi together, we first got LeBron and AD together. I think that was the first full season of Kristaps and Luka. It was really like a lot of duos. And it was a really, really fun segment. I just remember watching it and being like, oh, this is cool. And he does a really good job at Kyrie and KD. Yeah. It was just a really fun segment. And they don't, I don't know. That's Cowherd's strong suit. He says some crazy shit, though. But he's really good about having creative segments. That's, like, what he's best at. All right, the Rams. The Rams are really coming along. And I talked about staff earlier. I just want to say, like, the Rams are looking really good. So I think we all need to watch out. Because this team could, there's always a team around this time that they don't have the best record, and they just start rolling, and they end up in the playoffs. And I think the Rams might be the team for this. I'd love for it to be my Carolina Panthers. I mean, whoo-wee, would I love that. But realistically, if you said I had to pick, probably the Rams. I mean, right now, they're 5-4, I want to say? Maybe they're just 4-4. Yeah, they're 4-4 right now. But they're on a 3-game winning streak. And their losses are to the Cardinals in week 2, the Lions in week 1 in overtime. It's outrageous that game went to overtime. That's really interesting. Sorry. A loss to the Bears by 6. A loss to the Packers by 5. And that was their last loss, was the loss to the Packers by 5 on October 6th. So then they've won against the Raiders, Vikings, and Seahawks in the last 3 weeks. Their other win was against the Niners 6 weeks ago. Their upcoming schedule, Dolphins, they can win that next week. It's a Monday Night Football. Patriots, love you, Drake May, but they're going to beat you. Eagles, they could win that game. Is that a Sunday night? Ooh, is that Sunday night? Oh, that's good. That's a good Sunday night, Eagles-Rams. That's really good. They could beat the Eagles. Saints-Rams, they can win that. Bills-Rams, they probably lose. Niners-Rams, I don't know if they beat Shanahan twice, but the Niners have had the year from hell, as I expected, and so maybe. Jets, they can win. Cardinals, that'll be interesting. And then Seahawks, they should probably win. Mike McDonald, really great defensive coordinator. And I just feel like it's going to be interesting to see what he can do in Seattle. I wonder what he's going to do this offseason, if he's going to get him a new quarterback or what he's going to do. But regardless, there's a part of me that's like, when you're a really good DC and you're a really good OC, I get, you want to be a head coach. I mean, that'd be everybody's dream. I get it. I have a friend who wants to be a head coach, and we've had Braden on the pod. I mean, Braden's come on the podcast before. Braden Hayes, he came on, talked about the Bills, and he knows so much more about football than me. It's absurd. I don't think any of you listen to this podcast for my deep insight. It's more of a personality show than anything. And that's always what I think is funny is like, I've thought about it before. Is like, what really is the selling point of this pod? And I'm like, I think the selling point is you just kind of enjoy the personality of it. And I feel like when I bring people on, they're usually more knowledgeable. So I think we could eventually move into like a very high quality show if it was just nothing but like let's say the first 30 minutes was me doing this, and then like it was an hour of me talking with someone who's like clearly knows what they're talking about more than me. That could be a really fun show, and that might be the evolution of this sort of sports podcast. But for the time being, it's essentially just I'm like Teddy Duncan doing a video diary for you, except instead of giving you lessons on how to go in high school, I'm telling you my sports takes on November 5th, 2024. So good luck, Charlie. But anyways, Braden wants to be a coach, and like start off the collegiate level. And so I get the point. Everyone wants to be a head coach, but also like when you're Mike McDonald and you were like an elite DC, you're already making very good money. I'm sure he was getting paid millions, or at least six figures, probably like high six figures, probably at least 800,000. I'm willing to bet it was in the millions, being the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. And you were doing a great job. And I understand more money, it's your team. But like if I was doing really well and I was the coordinator for one of these teams, I would just stick and do that. It's like, okay, I get to work with John Harbaugh every day, going to be a Hall of Fame coach, one of the best coaches of his generation. Every year we're competing for the Super Bowl. Like we are a contender. We have Lamar Jackson. My job is to create an elite defense that plays the Ravens' dirty-ass way, which is, it's true. The Ravens always just have like this like hard-nosed, low-key, dirty football. So I just have to teach them to do that, and that's how we'll rock. And, I don't know. Like Ben Johnson, like such a good offensive coordinator for the Lions, and everybody's always like, oh, he's gonna leave and go to the Bears next year. And I'm like, why? Like, why would he want to? Why would you want to go be a head coach anywhere else when you could just continually work with Dan Campbell and be with his Lions team that is going to contend for the next couple of years? I don't understand. I don't know. I need someone to explain it to me. Like, why would you just not want to do that forever? Like, unless, like, and I would get it if it's like my dream job was to be the college coach at Michigan, like for Jim Harbaugh, where he was head coach of the Niners. And his dream job was to be Michigan's head coach. So that's why I went there. Alma mater, I get it. But like when you're, I don't know, if you're like a high profile OC, like a Ben Johnson, and your team's really good, like I get on your Dave Canales, and it's like, yeah, the Bucs are good, but I want my own team, But when you're like that top level, like that top, like when you're Eric Bieniemy, why did you ever leave the Chiefs? Like, why would you? I just don't understand. I don't know. Is Eric Bieniemy even employed anymore? Like, I'm sure he's somewhere, but is he still in the NFL? I mean, goodness, I was talking him up saying he needed a head coaching position. He went to the Commanders, was the offensive coordinator, and then that just did not work out. Oh, he works for UCLA now. He's an assistant head coach. He's the OC. That's a fall from grace. From the Kansas City Chiefs OC to UCLA. Not that UCLA is terrible, but like, I mean, he's got a Super Bowl ring. Does he have two? Does he have two? Was he there in 20? I don't think he was there for 22. No, he was. Never mind. So he's got two Super Bowl rings. He just, whatever, dude. This says on the Chiefs Wikipedia page that the team nickname from 2018 to 2021 was the Legion of Zoom. Is that true? I don't know anybody who called them that. I don't know. I don't know. Like Matt Nagy's an interesting one. I mean, Matt Nagy left the Chiefs. He was the OC, goes to the Bears, head coach. Now he comes back and he's the OC for the Chiefs again. Like, why? I get you want to have your own team, but like, I don't know. I don't get it. Where's Matt Nagy from? New Jersey. Oh, he went to high school in PA. Oh, he played for Delaware college football? Man. Would he play? Did he play football? Oh, he did. Yeah, he did play football. He used to run heavy offense wing T under head coach Tubby Raymond. You got to love Tubby Raymond. Born Flint, Michigan, 1926. Died age 91. He played football at Michigan and for the Clarksville Planters, who are a defunct minor league baseball team because he played minor league baseball. Oh, this is the most old guy stuff ever. I'm learning about Tubby Raymond right now, and you guys are hearing it live. Well, not live. This is recorded, but for me, it's live. This is not live. I realize you guys are not hearing it live. This guy's in the College Football Hall of Fame. Tubby Raymond. He coached, oh my gosh, his career record. He coached baseball and football. He coached baseball at Maine for 1 year and baseball at Delaware for 7 years. He coached football at Delaware. All right, so he coached football at Maine for 2 years, 1951 and 1953. Then he started coaching football for Delaware in 1954. Until 1965, he was just the backfield coach. 1966, he was promoted to head coach, which he coached till 2001. Oh, my goodness. Tubby Raymond was the head coach of Delaware Blue Hens football for 35 years. If you were born a Blue Hens fan, your kid would probably be in junior high. Your child would be in junior high by the time Tubby was done coaching. Oh my, what? And he coached baseball for 7 years then or two. Now, granted, he stopped coaching baseball when he became the head coach of the football team. What? He won 2 national championships for D2 football. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. Dude, Tubby Raymond. Oh, he was involved. He was involved in politics. He was well known and liked in Delaware, and his endorsement was sought out by candidates. Raymond was a staunch conservative. He described himself as just to the right of Genghis Khan. Outrageous quote. Oh my gosh, guys, this is like my new favorite random person. This is incredible. Flint, Michigan legend. Wow. Tubby Raymond. I'm so glad this is going to be recorded and live on forever because Tubby Raymond, his name needs to be uttered for a long time. All right, I don't even know how to continue after that. We're going to get into marquee matchups. I had 2 more things I want to talk about, but that was just an insane sidebar. Cowboys might be done. Dak is out for weeks. You obviously hate to see injuries. But I think the Cowboys might be dead this year. I don't know what they're going to do this offseason. It's going to be very interesting. I wonder if they're going to go pursue Bill Belichick. To me, that's what I expect. One more thing. I just wish Tua would retire. I don't enjoy worrying about him and his health. I know says he's not concerned. It's like, oh, well, it's his choice. You know, if he wants to put himself. Okay, you were saying that as if him being out there doesn't affect others. And you know for a fact that the defensive end or the linebacker or even the safety that puts a hit on him that potentially, does permanent damage to his body, like if it paralyzed him or something, that is going to haunt them forever, and people are going to talk about that forever. And the media will talk about that forever. Oh, well, this guy who's defensive end, he most known for paralyzing Tua. And all of a sudden, then it won't be Tua's, even though it was Tua's choice to be out there, it will live with that guy forever. And that's just terrible. That no one should have to do that. That's stupid. So I just wish Tua would be done. I think he's being quite like small-minded about it. I don't think it makes sense to do that. I don't know. It just upsets me. Like I was just worried about him. Watching the Bills game, like you're just waiting for one of those, and you got to think when you're like a defensive and like going in for a hit on him, like you're thinking about that. You don't want to be the guy that makes him have another concussion. I just think the NFL needs to step in. They do all this shit saying that they care about their players, and it's like, all right, let's see it. I don't know. I get it's his choice, but at some point, it's for the greater good. And like, what type of message are you sending to younger players? You know, what type of message are you sending out to that kid in high school who's got a couple concussions and his coach is telling him to sit out? Because now that coach tells him to sit out and his dad gets all mad. Well, you look at the professionals, they're doing it. Those guys are getting paid millions and they're still coming out doing it. They got the best doctors in the world. And you're like, okay, Ryan, you are setting up a super hypothetical that includes many people who aren't thinking straight. I understand that, but that's the reality. Is because that's what's going to happen. There's probably someone out there who is doing that right now. And their argument is they're using Tua Tagovailoa. And he could make a statement that resonates throughout the football world about how concussions are very dangerous and we need to prioritize the safety. And that there's a point where, ball is life until it ain't. I talk about this whole podcast, talk a lot about Super Bowls and football. I mean, NFL's my favorite, but at some point it is just a game. And he says, I love this game to the death. It ain't worth dying for. I can tell you right now, if you believe, you would die if it guaranteed your team Super Bowl, you got to rethink some things. Because as much as I love watching the NFL and as much as I enjoy it, there's more important things in life than the NFL. And part of the reason I enjoy it so much is because of things outside of it. Like watching it with my family, talking about it with my friends, talking about it with Genevieve, going to some of these games. The experience is more important than the game to me. I mean, I find immense joy in the NFL, and my team has consistently been one of the worst in the NFL the last few years. Because the greater things in life are what shine through. My best football memories and your best football memories are probably tied to something that is bigger than football. It's probably tied to your friends or your family or some people you care about and sharing a moment with them. Realistically, sports are just a vehicle for us to experience something, have a shared experience of people. The sport itself really just exists to give us shared experiences. I play a lot of basketball with my buddies. We play basketball for about 2 hours every day, Monday through Friday. That's not every day. That is Monday through Friday. I realized that was a sentence that contradicted itself. We play basketball about 2 hours Monday through Friday. And is it fun when we win? Yeah, it is. I prefer to be on the winning team. Don't get me wrong. But I care much more about the reason I go is not to win basketball and feel good about myself because I really don't care that much. I've gotten my ass handed to me and lost, and not won a game for weeks on end. But I don't really care because I'm not going to win and have some feeling of achievement. I'm going because I'm hanging out with my buddies and we talk in between the games and we're enjoying each other's company and it's fun to feel, that feeling when you're like covered in sweat and you didn't realize it until you got done. That's a good feeling. It's always good to feel like you exhausted yourself. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. Anybody who's like ever run long distance, like done a little bit of cross country, terrible cross country runner, but they know that feeling is nice. And I mean, that's why I ran cross country in high school is not because like I really enjoyed running or I never even came close to winning a race. I did it because I enjoyed the people and I enjoyed doing it. And I think that should be realistically a perspective of sports. Now, you got to care about winning, right? That's how you get great athletes. That's how you get greatness. And it's not fun to talk about if people don't care about winning, right? But there's also some point where being a father and having friends in life and being able to just walk down to get the mail is more important than being the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. So that's my piece. I understand I'm not Tua. It is at the end of the day his choice, but at some point I think the NFL needs to step in because it's setting a bad precedent. And I think just because he clearly isn't thinking straight doesn't mean that we should just allow it. Does that make sense? I don't know. I hope, I wonder what your thoughts is because I think this is a really interesting topic. And I don't want it to be too restrictive because at some point it is it is people's choice. But at some point, when do we step in and say it's wrong, right? It's honestly like, I would liken it to like a seatbelt and driving, right? If the argument is I can make that choice for myself, that's fine. But what about the person who ran into you and because you weren't wearing their seatbelt, they have to live with the fact knowing that they, ended up killing you, right? And that's heavy, and that's no one should have to live with that. And so because of that, you don't really get to get that choice because someone else, your choice could potentially affect someone else in a very, very bad way. And I mean, that would upset me, right? I mean, could just be, an accident that if you're wearing your seatbelt, you broke your arm, whatever, but because you weren't, you go through your windshield and you end up dead. Even though you made that choice, it hurts me because now I know, there's blood on my hands, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So that's what I would liken it to. And I just think, there are some choices in life you can make that truly only affect you, right? If you choose this weekend to drink 20 straight beers by yourself in your room, that is your choice. It is most likely not affecting anyone else. Turn off your phone and please don't drunk text anybody, right? But I think the Tua thing, it does affect other people. And so I worry about the other players, and I think the NFL really needs to step in. I think it's interesting we're having this dialogue, and in the NBA, there's all this pushback against Embiid not playing back-to-backs, and they're saying, he's giving up on the fans, this isn't right, he's setting a bad precedent. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, if let's say Embiid was going out and playing every game, and he was having injury problems, and he was trying to play through them, that's not right either. He's doing this. You guys know I'm an Embiid hater. I mean, we've watched the cycle of me being an Embiid guy and a Jokic hater just completely flipped. And now Jokic is one of my favorite players ever, and I've completely flipped on Embiid, and I consider him in, honestly, like Harden-level territory of me disliking him. But I completely get it. He has been hurt a lot, and at this point, the only thing that matters to him is winning the championship, and he feels like the best way to try to accomplish that is to preserve himself in the regular season. And I guess at some point, that's his choice. And if you don't like him because of that, if you're a diehard Sixers fan and you're like, oh, no, he shouldn't be doing that. I'm like, he's prioritizing winning, and then you're getting upset with him. It just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like it's just a case of no matter what, everybody's going to bitch and moan. And I just don't understand it. And I think I don't understand that discourse either. At some point, everybody's like, oh, well, with the Tua thing, it's his choice, and we shouldn't interfere, even though he's making a choice that clearly harms others. Embiid is making a choice that I think makes sense, and he's trying to preserve himself and also, not get hurt and then during the regular season and hurt the team in the playoffs, and yet people are telling him it's not his choice. It's just very odd to me that we're having these both at the same time, and yet we're getting very different reactions. Now, granted, part of it's because he's Embiid, and he has annoyed a lot of people like me before, and so they're using this as a vehicle to continue to hate on him. But I'm saying if you remove yourself and you think about what he's trying to do, it makes sense. And the argument of back in my day, we'd get hit in, football, and we wouldn't know where we were, and we'd still play. That's not good. Just the back in my day, that doesn't mean it was right. I mean, we used to prescribe radium for people. That wasn't a good idea. So, I mean, the idea that's we should be playing through these concussions. No, we clearly have the research that shows we shouldn't. So that's just an insane thing to me. Okay. That was a lot. And that was heavy. Wow, that was intense. Let's do marquee matchups. I'm not going to lie to you guys. There is one game for marquee matchups. There is no other game that is intriguing from 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. There is one game that is interesting at the 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock spots. I would recommend watching Dodgeball on Hulu right now. So if you have Hulu, Dodgeball's on there. Classic film. Go watch some White Goodman. No one makes me bleed my own blood. But me. I don't think he says but me. I think it's just nobody makes me bleed my own blood. I think that's the exact quote from him. Evan, correct quote? White Goodman?
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody.
Thank you. I knew you'd have it. So, thank you, Evan, our resident dodgeball. What were the professor? Enthusiast. Thank you. So I mean, there's no good games at 4 p.m. So just around 4 p.m. watch Dodgeball on Hulu, or I really like the movie 21 Bridges, a really underrated action cop thriller type thing that came out a couple years back. It's one of the Chadwick Boseman's films later in his career. Rest in peace. He was so damn good. And he's really good in this movie. J.K. Simmons is in it, and he's always great in everything. So that's on Netflix if you would like to watch that at Sunday at 4, because you really shouldn't watch any of these games at 4 o'clock. I know. I'll read you the slate. I'll read it. I'll read you the slate. It's bad. So, I mean, don't come crying to me, okay? Here's the 4 o'clock slate. Titans, Chargers. Boo. Chargers will smack them. Jets, Cardinals. No one wants to watch more of this Jets team than they have to. They already have a ton of primetime games. They're not fun to watch. Eagles, Cowboys. This Eagles team is the least interesting out of the teams with winning records. I mean, Devontae Smith made a crazy play the other day. That was awesome. But other than that, I just don't think they're that interesting. Oh, and Saquon did the backwards hurdle. That was awesome too. They're gaining interest points, I will admit. But who wants to watch this Cowboys team? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so Eagles, I actually need to give them credit. They are becoming interesting. The Cowboys, no. So at 1 o'clock, we got Bills, Colts. Maybe you could argue, get to watch some Joe Flacco versus Josh Allen. But honestly, I think the Bills are just kind of going to smack this team. And then it's like Vikings, Jaguars, hell no. Broncos, Chiefs, on paper, like it's like, oh, these two teams winning. But like, no. Niners, Bucks. Two quarterbacks I really like, but I just don't like the way these teams match up against each other. And then Patriots, Bears, Caleb Williams, Drake May. No, because it's hard to watch this Patriots team because I love Drake May, but this team around him is so bad. They need Travis Hunter. Really hope they get Travis Hunter. So, the one game I have for marquee matchups is 1 p.m. Sunday, Steelers at Commanders. It's going to be awesome. Two good teams. Two teams that I think are like a level below a Super Bowl contender, but they're going to make the playoffs, and they might win a game or two. I don't think the Steelers win 2 playoff games. But the Steelers' offense improves every week. The Commanders' offense has been one of the best in the NFL. Are they still perfect on 4th down? I think they might be. It's like them and the Bills. I think they're the only two teams that are perfect on 4th down. I think the Bills still are. So just crazy numbers that come out of the Commanders. And yeah, so that should be a really fun game. I think it would be really fun if the Steelers won it, but it's going to be interesting. I really hope the Commanders don't ever wear those black uniforms again. I feel like they thought they cooked, and they did not. I'm sure they're not going to wear them this week against the Steelers, but I'm just saying in general, because they wore those pretty recently, and I was like, ewy, gross. But yeah, Steelers, Commies should be really fun. A little Russell Wilson highlights. Also, the Steelers are a really fun matchup for the Commanders, because it's the team that they would hate to play, which is an elite defense with an offense that's improving, and the Commanders are an elite offense with a defense that's improving. So like polar opposites of each other matching up. That's just a really fun game. And it's old quarterback with long-term coach with young quarterback with coach that is redeeming himself in all our eyes because we consistently associate him with 28-3. So it's just really fun, and it's going to be a really fun game. I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm also there's gonna be so many like Commanders primetime games next year. Like, it's gonna be absurd the level of push they're gonna get. I'm starting to believe the NBA wants Cooper Flagg to go to Washington so they can have their own like version of the Commanders. Like this, they just want to make Washington like a big sports city now, because they could imagine like they could dress Cooper Flagg up in like the American flag, yeah, like flag like Cooper Flagg, right? Call him like Captain America. Right, he's in D.C. I mean, I'm starting to see it. I'm like, it's hitting me. I'm like, I think this is what the NBA wants, is like the Wizards to get Cooper Flagg. And they really need to redesign those jerseys, though, because those jerseys are hideous. So, D.C. might potentially become like a really good sports town soon. So, I mean, New York is starting to, with the Knicks being good. Obviously, the Yanks are good. Mets are good. Liberty just won the WNBA Finals. The football teams need to catch up, and the Giants have a chance. They draft Shador. They could really be interesting next year. But just be prepared. Next year, the Commanders might have like 6 or 7 primetime games. This is going to be like absurd. Like, they're going to be on Sunday Night Football like every other week. They genuinely will probably have as many primetime games as the Chiefs. That's how much they're trying to push them. Let's get into primetime picks, though. Thursday Night Football, excellent Thursday Night Football game. Excellent game. Ravens versus Bengals. I want you to know that America is not prepared for how hideous these Ravens uniforms they're going to wear Thursday are. They're an alternate with an alternate helmet that look like jerseys I would have saw online in like a Bleacher Report article that's like redesigns for 32 NFL teams. And it was this, and me and my buddy were like, oh, like me and my friend Merrick, my boy, love you, Mer. Like Merrick and I would have saw it in like 5th grade and be like, oh, these would be so cool. That's what these jerseys look like. And in concept in 5th grade, they're awesome. And in reality, as someone who is 20 years old, no, oh my gosh, they're hideous. I don't think America is prepared for them. So just be ready for that Thursday night for those uniforms. And don't Google it. Spoiler surprise. Do not do that. Do not Google it. Just watch it Thursday night and watch your jaw drop. Because I don't think people are prepared for how batshit these uniforms are going to be. But anyways, Bengals, Ravens. Who's my pick? Because it's primetime picks. The whole thing is the pick. I'm going to go Ravens here. I still think they're better. I know Joe Burrow is supposed to start cooking because the leaves are changing colors, and that's how it goes, right? The Bengals always get, around this time of year, this is when they start cooking. Around week 7, 8, 9 is when they start rolling. It's week 10. Come on, Bengals. I just think this Ravens team's really good offensively. If they had Mike McDonald still, and this defense was top 10, not even top 5, just top 10, oh my gosh. I mean, this would be like the best team Lamar's ever had. I just wish the defense wasn't the worst he's ever had. So this is the best offense Lamar's ever had. Yeah, it's really good. Derrick Henry, the way they've used him has been excellent. So, excellent. My mom has him in fantasy, and he just cooks every week. So, taking the Ravens to beat the Bengals. A Guten Morgen game. Oh, little German Guten Morgen here. Panthers, Giants. Panthers get it done. I think this is in Munich, right? I don't think it's in Berlin. I think it's in Munich. I've been to Munich. I've never been to Berlin. So a little Guten Morgen for my Panthers. I'm actually very excited for this Sunday morning matchup. I'm going to wake up, watch my Panthers, get a nice hearty breakfast in of 2 granola bars probably. Maybe a Mallow Mar I'll throw in because I got another box when I was in Buffalo visiting Genevieve. So pretty excited from that. But, yeah, Panthers beating Giants. Is this biased? Hell yes. Come on, guys. We should win this. Come on. So, Sunday Night Football, Lions versus Texans. An excellent Sunday night game. They knew they cooked when they put this matchup together. And I'm going to take the Lions over the Texans. The Lions are the better team. Zadarius Smith's going to make some big play for them and sack CJ, and they're going to make a big deal out of it in commentary. That's why they went out and got him. Yeah, that is. Definitely missing Hutch. Is this going to be a Ronald Acuna Jr. situation where they win the Super Bowl without him, but it's like in his honor, even though he's one of the best players? Maybe. But Lions get a big win over the Texans. There is a world of the Texans win this, but the Texans are come on. I want to see them play better, but the Lions are so damn good. Like, this is not a good area for them to be like, oh, this is our get-right game after losing last week to the Jets. This is a really hard setup for them. Like, you're thinking about that Jets win. That Jets lost last week, and you got like 10 days to think about it. And you're like, okay, and you're focusing up the next game, and it's against potentially the best team in the NFL. It's just like, well, shit. So, it'll be a really fun Sunday Night Football game. So, really excited for this. Taking the Lions, though. Monday Night Football, Rams versus Dolphins. They thought they cooked. They definitely did not. This Dolphins team, terrible to watch. Jared Verse is improving every week for the Rams, so make sure you watch him. I picked him Defensive Rookie of the Year. It's starting to come along, so watch him potentially sack Tua in this game. But yeah, also somebody needs to talk Tua. Talk Tua about. Did you guys get my joke? It was a talk Tua joke. I did it terrible. I was gonna say somebody needs to talk to Tua about retiring, like I said earlier, but I missed that joke opportunity. I really should probably cut this. We're just going to move on. We're going to ignore that. I thought I had a good job. No. I'm taking the Rams to beat the Dolphins. You guys know I think this Rams team might be the team that gets a late surge here. I actually like them more than the Bengals for that. I think the Rams could do it. The Rams' schedule isn't the easiest, though, because I've looked at it. It's not the hardest, but it's not the easiest either, because oh, wait, we already did this. Sorry, I've been talking so long I forgot. We already ran through that schedule. It was so. Wow, that was a really weird way to end primetime picks. All right, wrapping up. Thursday Night Football, Ravens over Bengals. German Guten Morgen, Panthers over Giants. Sunday Night Football, Lions over Texans. And Monday Night Football, Rams over Dolphins. That is it for the pod. We'll wrap up a little bit of NBA. I just want to say I got an idea for NBA Red Zone. I think the NBA needs their own Red Zone. I think it'd be really fun to have that. I think NBC is going to do a lot of interesting things when they get the NBA rights next year, not just using Round Ball Rock. I'm sure they're going to do some other things that are also good, but Round Ball Rock's, I mean, the big piece. Come on, right? I think it'd be really sweet. I tweeted out, NBA Red Zone would be sick. Have an inside the NBA style crew that talks about the games as they go on. Call it NBA and one or something like that, like maybe NBA overtime. I don't know. But kind of have that be a replacement for Inside the NBA. Get a crew of guys, like 3 to 4 guys. And really the important part, putting together a team like that. You don't just want like 4 of the best players you can think of. You want guys that bounce off each other really well. That's what makes Inside the NBA good. If you can find a crew like that and then make them NBA Red Zone where you're cutting in and out of games, and whichever game is in like the last 2 minutes, you just tune in for that last 2 minutes. If it's close, obviously, I think that could be really good. And you only do it like, I don't think you could do it like, I mean, obviously, like what day? I don't know. When NBC takes over, I think they're going to probably try to make the NBA more like, there's Wednesday night and there's a lot of action. Like try to make it more event viewing and less like just games on random days. And if you could just figure out like maybe one day a week that, you know, almost every NBA team plays, like a Wednesday, that would be awesome. Like make Wednesday like the NBA day where it's like everybody plays every Wednesday. That would be a really good setup for the NBA. I would love that. And make those like your most premier matchups. If you could, I mean, like it's obviously not going to be true for every team, but like if you could make it pretty consistently that like the Wednesday 8 p.m. slot every week is a good game, that would be really cool. If the NBA could pull that off. I don't know, just my ideas. All right, wrapping up with some ramblings, reels, and writings. I just think it'd be funny if in Happy Gilmore 2, I was thinking about who's going to take that Bob Barker style spot that just like rolls up randomly. I think it'd be really funny if it was Scott Van Pelt. Because like there's not really, I mean, Bob Barker, it's so funny that it's him because like he exists in the world of Price is Right. Like he doesn't exist in like the real world in your mind. And I'm like trying to think of like who else would be like that. I'm like maybe like Doris Burke would be funny. They talked about this on the Happy Gilmore Rewatchables pod, and they said Doris Burke and Scott Van Pelt, and I think they're right on both of them. I think they ended on Doris Burke. But I was thinking about it myself, and I was like, yeah, those really are just like the 2 best answers. Like it has to be somebody from ESPN, I feel like. That like they just existed. Like Stephen A wouldn't work because he jumps out of his own element too much. Like he does too much crazy shit. Same thing with Shannon Sharp. With, you know, everything with Shannon Sharp, right? Especially recent things. It's like they exist too much outside. It just wouldn't be funny enough. Like it has to be like, Doris Burke just might be the pick. I just think it'd be really funny if they did something like that. And it doesn't have to be the celebrity golf again. I mean, but just having somebody cameo in it for a bit where you're like, I cannot believe they got them. It was just so funny that it was them. I think that'd be really fun. One more thing. Juror number 2 only releasing in like a certain amount of theaters breaks my heart because apparently it's like pretty good. And I just really, I don't understand what Warner Brothers thinks they're doing. Other than DC, like every other department they have is just shooting itself in the leg over and over and over, in the foot is the term, over and over and over. It's so bad. And like Nolan left them, and now you pissed off Clint Eastwood, and other directors are seeing this, and they're thinking, I don't want to go work for them. And I don't blame them. And so I just don't understand what they think they're doing with Juror number 2. I actually would like to see this film. Hopefully I get a chance to eventually. Apparently it's good, and it's for those of you who don't realize, it is a legal drama starring Nicholas Hoult, directed by Clint Eastwood, and it is apparently very good. And it might potentially be Eastwood's last film. And obviously Eastwood is a Hollywood legend, and I don't know what exactly he did that pissed off Warner Brothers, but they got all pissy, and they released it in like a very small amount of theaters. So small that there's not a single showing in the state of Ohio, which is where I live. So, yeah, I just think it's stupid, and not very pleased with them. And I'd really like to see the film at some point. So there you go. Yeah, I think that's it from me. I think we need more events like the Super Bowl and the election and the Olympics. Because I thought about it. I like these events where it's like everyone in America has their take. Like that's what's fun about the Super Bowl, right? Is like every year, like my grandma, who doesn't watch a single NFL game every year, she watches every Guardians game. She don't watch a single NFL game. she has a take on who she wants to win the Super Bowl or who she thinks is going to win the Super Bowl. And that's what's fun about it, is that, the guy who watches every NFL game is making a pick, and the girl or the guy, I guess it could be a girl who watches every NFL game. That was really bad by me. I'm sorry. You know what? I want to apologize. That was really, really poor work by me. I'm sorry. That was wrong, and I'm sorry. I revoke that statement. Let's say the guy or girl watches every NFL game is making the same take as the guy or girl who's watched no NFL games. They might pick the same damn team, or maybe they pick opposite, and the one who didn't watch any is right, because that's very likely. And I just think that's fun. It's fun when there's this shared public consciousness of something where everybody kind of wants to talk about the same thing, and everybody wants to go, hey, what'd you think about this? And the NBA's lost that. In the World Series, baseball's lost that. Like, the public consciousness of everybody kind of being tuned in for the same thing. I think we've lost a lot of that with the fall of cable television, because everybody's tuned into their own show. Like, oh, I got this show I watch on Netflix. We've lost that. Everybody's kind of tuned in for this. That's what's been fun about this Penguin show, is because the Penguin's really good and everybody's watching it. That, like, a decent amount of people I know are watching it. And so, there's this shared public consciousness. And it's really fun when there's something like the election, or there's something like the Super Bowl, and the Olympics, the other one, where it's like everybody was like, hey, did you see the men's gymnastics? Yeah, I did watch the men's gymnastics. What'd you think of that guy who's the pommel horse guy? Like, that's fun. I enjoy that, and I wish there were more events like that. I don't know how we get more events like that. These events where everybody is interested and everybody has their take. They're just so fun to me. I wish there were more. I just wish we had more of those. I don't know how we get more of them. I would like more of them. So that's my piece. Okay. That's it from me. Yeah, I think that's it. So hope you enjoyed. And I guess I should say, I found a new joy in going to Tubi, which is the free streaming service with ads. And you just kind of scroll until you find a movie that sounds interesting, because it's full of so much random shit. A lot of made-for-TV garbage, some self-financed film. There's terrible. There's some of the worst films you've ever seen are on this app. But then you'll find stuff that's like, oh, it's pretty interesting. Now, granted, they have like real movies on here. Like, it's not like it's just a service full of dumb shit. Like, for example, 12 Angry Men is on this service. The Graduate, White Men Can't Jump, Legally Blonde. Walking Tall, the movie with The Rock, the Oliver Stone JFK film, Quigley Down Under, the Tom Selleck Western, Blowout with John Travolta, the Thomas Crown Affair, the Pierce Brosnan film, not the TV show or old movie. I can't remember if it's an old movie or a TV show that's based off of. Whatever. That's on here. The Cutting Edge, classic. Love The Cutting Edge. If I watch The Cutting Edge this year, it's 100% going in the Hall of Fame. I love Cutting Edge. That was like a childhood favorite of mine. I loved The Cutting Edge as a kid. I, Robot, the Will Smith movie, right? So those are in here, right? But then you just get shit like, I don't even know like where to start here. Okay, so like old blaxploitation films are on here, like Foxy Brown with young Pam Grier is in here, like one of the primary inspirations for Jackie Brown. Cutthroat Island. This is a Rennie Harlan directed film starring Gina Davis and Matthew Modine. It is about a female pirate and her companion that race against their rivals to find a hidden island that contains a fabulous treasure. It's a pirate movie. Man, come on. It's a pirate movie. That's awesome. So, like, Django Unchained is on the service, right? You click on Django Unchained. There's recommended films like The Amazing Spider-Man, I, Robot, Death Wish, Joe Dirt, Ben-Hur. Not the old Ben-Hur, the 2016 remake. But guess what? The old Ben-Hur is also on here. There's just such a wide range of films. Hang 'em High with Clint Eastwood's on here. And that's like a big movie, right? Like, it's just a bit of a wide range of different types of films you can get on here. Oh my gosh, I saw this movie in theater. It's called Dog. It's got Channing Tatum in it. It was kind of fun. It was all right. It was fine. Yeah, Maltese Falcon's on here, right? But then you got The Hot Spot, starring Don Johnson, Virginia Madsen and Jennifer Connelly, directed by Dennis Hopper. After robbing a Texas bank, a used car salesman finds himself at the romantic mercies of two very different women who both want his love. That sounds outrageous. I'm intrigued. So, yeah. Just a fun game to play where you can just kind of go on Tubi and watch these. I mean, it's a free streaming service with ads, and you can watch many films such as, The Graduate, to the Joe Pesci-led film 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag, in which gangster Tommy, his bag is switched with a student named Tommy, and the one has 8 dead bodies in it, and the other one's just his stuff before he goes to university. Why did I say it like I'm from another country? Anyways, that's that. It's David Spade is the college kid, by the way. It's comedy, so I mean that's fun, right? There's a movie called Made, directed by Jon Favreau, starring Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn. It's a couple years after Swingers. It's 2 lifelong best friends and aspiring boxers who are trying their best to go bad to criminally comic ends. That sounds fun. I'm putting it on my list. So it's just kind of full of all these movies that have just kind of came and went. Now, granted, some of these films are big deals. Like Silence of the Lambs on here. But, I mean, how many of you knew about the movie Cutthroat Island? Come on. Like a movie like Payback with Mel Gibson. You just don't hear about that movie anymore, right? A lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme on this service. Like a lot of those like schlocky action movies are on here. And I don't know, I just think it's fun. So yeah, it's like my new favorite pastime is just seeing what outrageous films I can have access to. And then I've got quite a fun watch list queued up. So probably going to end up finding some just absolutely insanely fun movies, and I'm probably gonna end up finding a movie that's just absolutely terrible, and I'm like, wow, this is a horrendously bad movie. But there's gonna be some hidden gems, and then there's gonna be some absolute shitters, but it'll be fun nonetheless. So I'm looking forward to it. So there we go. All right, that is it from me. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you all next week. Goodbye.